Welcome back to the Rock Your Best Life podcast. With me today, I have the wonderful Coach Stephen Thomas. He is known as the UK carnivore, and he is a PT, a back specialist, a carnivore. He specializes in diabetes, obesity, physical training, pain management. He is BSc qualified and a level 4 personal trainer. We'll talk about all that stuff. Welcome, Stephen.
Hi there. Yes. I'm a personal trainer level 4. In the UK, that means something, but obviously not in the States or anywhere else. But it just means I've done the personal training and qualified above that to go a bit above and beyond. And the specialist practitioner status in obesity and in diabetes just means that, healthcare professionals or doctors, they can refer to me if they want to, if they've got a diabetic patient or a obese patient. So all those qualifications are really good. I'm a qualified phlebotomist as well. So we do bloods. I take bloods, can interpret bloods, and our lab always sends a doctor's report with the blood. So it's quite good to have lots of different sort of disciplines, I think, because they all join hand in hand. I definitely did the lower back pain management course because lower back pain is really common. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to know about the anatomy and the skeleton as well as the muscles and also the nutrition, because they just all go hand in hand. It's no point in knowing one thing being really good. It's the old joke about if you're a surgeon, you're going to cut something out. If you're good with medicines, you're going to give somebody a tablet. So it's best to know every single thing you can about the body, or as much as you can. I mean, I'm scratching the surface. The more I learn, the more I realize I don't know, to be honest. So, I'm at 58 now and I'm still learning all the time. But I just think it's been a good journey to get all those qualifications and then to get some practical, real hands-on experience over the years. So it's good skill set, I think you'd say.
No, it is. It's you're a wonderful wealth of knowledge. And I was introduced to you from joining Bella's steak and butter gang. Mm-hmm. And switching in January to, just full strict carnivore, no plants. You have helped me a lot in the adaptation part, understanding, okay, why is my body reacting this way when all I did is took out a few of the plants I was eating.
Yeah. And I mean, this is what I just, when someone comes for personal training, you talk about the training response, the chronic adaptation to what you're doing. Somebody can come and want to be a good runner, for instance, and they'll go from, this is a real story, I had a 50-year-old guy, 4 stone overweight, so 50 odd pounds, and he wanted to just get fit, and within a year he was in the top 25% of the world marathon running.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's an adaptation. But along the way, there was aches and pains. There was working out his nutrition. It wasn't all plain sailing. It wasn't like, I'm really unfit, I'm really overweight, bang, straight line. I'm now very fit. In fact, very competitively fit and looking, fantastic. There was lots of bumps along the way, lots of peaks, lots of troughs. And so it's the same. The body is adapting to a different way of eating. It's just exactly the same. The mechanisms change, the gut bacteria changes. So your fluid balance changes, electrolyte balance changes. Everything is adapting. So I look at people that are looking at this way of eating exactly the same way as I would look at someone that's come in to become more athletic, for instance. I think, right, okay, you want to eat this way. What's going to happen along the way that's going to make you want to stop? So sometimes people have constipation or diarrhea and they don't understand why. But if you explain why that's happening and it's just a phase and it will stop and your body will adjust to this different way of eating, tends to make life a lot easier when you've got a bit of knowledge, I think. For the person, I don't mean as a coach.
No, I agree, because, for me, I didn't have the constipation, but I had the other end. And it lasted, about a month for me. And then eventually, like you said, it just goes away and then your body adapts. But let's go into who you are, what you do, all these qualifications you have, and how you help people.
Okay. As I mentioned earlier, I'm 58 this year. So I've been around a long time. I was a high carb advocate for many, many years. even at 14, I was, running the 800 meters at school and also doing distance running, which I now realize was a bad combination. So I was interested in sort of short, middle distance, long distance. I was playing soccer as well, because I was a bit of an idiot. I had lots of opportunities to be semi-professional in soccer, but I didn't want to do the training, which is how I understand motivation or not doing the right things. I'm not perfect. Look back on that as a big mistake, but I did okay with the soccer. And then I won a singles tournament in tennis. So lots and lots of sport and lots of time in the gym, but I was eating skim milk, porridge or oatmeal, as you call it, lots and lots of freshly squeezed orange juice, doing all the apparently healthy things. And then by the time I was 40, this all caught up on me. So I was very active in the gym, doing lots of running, and I was getting fatter. And I was pre-diabetic. I had lower left quadrant pain. I had to have a colonoscopy, had a heart scan. I had a CAC score of 639, which means I'm a prime candidate for a heart attack. And that was back then. And every calculation tool that you can use online to see what are your chances of having a heart attack, when I put my stats in, it always said you're pretty much 100% perfect person that's going to have a heart attack within the next 5 weeks or something like that. It was, all the things were terrible. The blood was pretty bad. My testosterone was low. And luckily, in my 40s, I also started my, qualifications, and it all made sense to me that I was doing all the wrong things. I lost my parents when I was young. They was very much into sort of the bran in the morning. So my mum, for instance, she died of colon cancer, but she had bran flakes, which is a UK cereal, because she really believed the fiber stuff. Skim, like I say, she had skim milk. She was doing orange juice, Complan, and all terrible things. I realise now. Father died of cancer of the spine after being told he had a calcium deficiency. So I'd seen firsthand that you can eat a certain way and it doesn't make any difference. But that wasn't at the forefront of my mind. But now talking about it, I realised that it was important to have those life lessons. But anyway, so I get to my mid-40s, doing my qualifications, and the real turning point was the diabetic one, to be honest, because the whole course was looking at insulin injections, basically, in relation to carbohydrate intake. And I kept querying, saying, well, surely just lower the carbohydrates. That makes more sense. To me, it's really basic common sense that if you're medicating and the dose goes up as you eat more carbohydrates, and you don't want to be medicating and you feel like this is a bad thing to be doing, why not just reduce the carbohydrates? Of course, the big pushback is the food industry, the drug industry. They don't want you off the medications. Sadly, I began to realize that. Luckily, some of the books I've been studying, I use the Guyton's Medical Physiology textbook because it's not sponsored by pharmaceutical companies. So you get your information from there. So anyway, 50 was a big turning point for me because I went low carb. I started low carb and I saw immediate improvements in absolutely everything. Simple, small things improved a bit. I used to have a big rash here come out all the time, like somebody got a strawberry and pushed me head like this and looked horrible. Athlete's foot, like I say, all the other things were a lot more serious, but things started to get better on low carb, but they didn't completely resolve. I lost, a fair bit of weight. A pudgy bit around my middle, didn't look so great, even though I was running. So people think, you can outrun your diet. You can, I really was running to a really good level, I promise you, but I'm still getting fatter. The runnersworld.com website did a 13,000 runner study, and after a decade of running, they were all fatter and they were all having to run more. But anyway, so I did low carb. Low carb worked, used all the typical resources that most people have heard of, Dr. Eric Berg and Ken Berry. I was looking at those sort of people, very interesting influencers and knowledgeable. Obviously I've now looked back at some of the things that like Eric Berg was saying, but I don't particularly agree with. But he's a nice person to get into, a good gateway into the low carb. And then I just realized there was more to this than meets the eye. And I started listening to stuff about keto and reading up about keto. Some interesting case studies in the things I was studying over my qualifications, talking about the therapeutic benefit of ketogenic diets. I thought, well, this is worth me trying. So I did that for a couple of years, and I did see improvements. It was like a step change. So low carb, brought the weight down and improved lots of things. And the same thing when I went keto, lost a bit more weight. Other things started improving. Health was definitely better. And then when I got to 55, we're nearly there, Rosa. Did ask me my story.
I know. I love it. Keep going. I love your story, Stephen.
So I got to 55 and, I was already practicing, like I say, with the diabetes and obesity and all those sort of things. And I just realized carnivore was probably going to be the thing to try. So I did a 30-day challenge to myself. I didn't know about the steak and butter girl there, and at that point I don't think he was around at that point, and I thought I'll just go carnivore. I was looking at things like Dr. Sean Baker and Paul Saladino when he was particularly good, when he started out. So I went carnivore for 30 days, could not believe the difference, could not believe it. One of the biggest things for me was, at 55, as a 55-year-old male, you shouldn't see your testosterone jump up. But within 2 months of carnivore, and this is where the phlebotomy is really handy, so I could get the bloods, I saw a 30% increase in my testosterone. 30%,
wow.
Just completely from changing the diet or going more high protein, however you want to look at it, or being more carnivorous, whatever the word is. But anyway, so 55, 2.5 years later, I look at that as the best thing I did for my health. Never felt so vital. I know we're going to talk about exercise in a minute, but just to briefly touch on that, I saw my strength go up, absolutely categorically going up, gained muscle quicker than I've ever gained muscle before, with a tweak to my training, which was actually training less, but more effectively. Mm-hmm. So carnivore was really brilliant. I joined the MeatRx website, did Sean Baker's course to be a coach there, started coaching people. I've got literally hundreds of online reviews now. People getting off medications, changing their way of eating has made the difference. They've lost fat off their body, their body composition has improved, their anxiety is less. There's so many, the skin is better, the hair and the nails. So it's been a brilliant journey. It's really exciting. I hope that comes across from me, that it's just been really strikingly, humbling to see such big changes, and so many people make a big difference to their life and get really nice comments, and people doing videos, coming on to do, success stories and those sort of things. It's been amazing. And I learned so much from those people, because the more you listen to people, and I'm not dismissive of anything. If someone says, I'm eating a ton of meat and I've still got cravings, which goes against what most people actually experience, then you've got to drill down and say, well, why is that happening to you? And then as soon as you get to the nitty gritty of why that one person is having that problem, you can put that in your toolbox. And if it comes up again, you can relate to that particular situation and use, experience of real people in real situations to try and help somebody through, a difficult period, or to understand what's going on. And, it's a really good space to be in. It's very supportive. I'm not one of these sort of negative people. If people want to eat a different way, it doesn't really bother me. I know this is the best way of eating. I've tried pretty much every type of eating. I did things to improve. I mean, I lost my hearing when I was younger, so I wear hearing aids and I sort of rely on a bit of lip reading. I've seen my hearing improve. I mean, that's one of the things from this way of eating. Although I was told, categorically, you got neurological damage. This is in my 20s. Your hearing will never improve. And that was true until I started eating a different way. For people out there, I'm not going to say you're going to be hard of hearing and then be hearing perfectly, but I got tons of data as my hearing plummeted, continued to get worse to the point it was very severe hearing loss. And since eating this way, it's been a slight uptick. It's a little bit. It's not great. It's not, I can't get rid of my hearing aids. But again, it's a categorical sort of empirical number there's some data there that shows that it definitely helped a little bit to get some of my hearing back. So that's probably the reduction in inflammation. So for me, it keeps touching me in different ways and making me really happy and think, wow, this is such a good way of eating. It's not for everybody. Some people can't cope with the social situation. Mm-hmm. I've been out and people have, been in a group, and I've had, friends point or family point, go, he's the weird one. He's the one. He's odd. But, I tend to be the one that's got the least body fat on me. And, I'm the only one probably at the table who's never taken any medications or tablets or stuff like that. So I'm quite happy with that. And I take that very sort of tongue in cheek. I'm happy to be the weirdo that eats like this, because in the end, a lot of those people turn around and ask me about it and say, you are looking pretty good for your age. They always say that. I don't mind that, to be honest. You're looking good for your age. You must be doing something right. So tell me about it. So, I spread the word. I don't push it, though. There is that old joke about how do you know someone is a vegan? Because they tell you. I'm not that. I'm not like, I don't walk in anywhere and go, I'm a carnivore. I've never said that. I don't care about telling people I've never met before it's what I do. But if people ask, then I tend to say, this is how I eat, and seems to be working for me and many, many people that I coach.
Yeah, it's such a healing lifestyle. Because like you were talking about your journey with low carb and keto and all the people that you followed, I kind of had the same journey, a lot of the same journey. But yeah, you take what you learn things from each people, right? Each person.
Yes.
And what I really love about you, Stephen, especially I've seen in the group, is that you don't declare to have all the answers. You even say, hey, I'm not sure if I know that. Let me find out for you. And that's what I really respect you for that. Because a lot of people in the space will say, well, I have the answer to this and this and this. You need to follow this plan. You need to do this.
Yes. And some people want that. You see, this is, there's a two sides to this, because a lot of people approach me for coaching and say, I want a meal plan. I want to know how much protein. I want to know. And, this is why I'm not a multimillionaire. I don't pander to that. I'll say, well, until you start this, I don't know what you need to eat. I don't know when you need to eat, because you're a different person to the person before. You might have a job, with strange hours. You might live in a place where the temperature is, very variant. You might have 5 kids. You might have no family. There's lots of different situations, and they all have a big impact on how you operate, how biomechanically and physiologically, how you succeed in life and function in life is not just going to be cured by one thing, and certainly not one amount of protein per day or one amount of fat per day or a ratio or whatever. It's got to see how it works for you. And also the healing side of things. Where have you come from? Are you undernourished? Are you, this is a thing with obesity, which everyone finds quite strange when I first meet them. I'll often find they're very malnourished. And so how can I be? Look at the size of me. I'm carrying an extra me. That's what I heard the other day. But you're carrying a lot of water and fat, and, you haven't got enough muscle mass really for your size, not enough bone density. So that's quite strange. Or we can have people often think this is all about weight loss or fat loss, I should say, but it isn't. It's about healing. And we'll have people that are malnourished and they're very surprised that they start this way of eating for weight loss, right, or for fat loss is the main thing they're actually after, not weight loss so much. And then they'll gain some muscle and they'll gain some bone density and their hair will look better and the nails will look better. And they're like, wow, what's going on? I didn't come for this. And I say, well, you're sort of healing. You're giving the body all the nutrients it needs, and you are looking better. I mean, the most common thing I say, sadly, because of the world, it's mostly Zoom I coach on. They'll come on the screen and go, wow, you look amazing. It's really working for you. And they're like, oh, everyone's saying that. So it is nice to have quite a surprising effect for some people, I think. But, I don't know the answers, and I scratch my head, but that's how you learn, isn't it? If you think you know all the answers, you're not going to listen, or you're going to make an assumption. That's not science. Science is, constantly thinking of theories and then testing those theories. And what you really do actually is you try to disprove them. If you go out of your way to prove something and you can't, it pretty much means that what you're doing, what your original theory is right. So how can I possibly know everything? Nowhere near it. And there are people out there, like you look at people like Ben Bickman, who's incredibly knowledgeable, and Ivor Cummins. There's loads and loads of people out there that have huge amounts of knowledge. But I think if you went back, looked at 10 years of videos, looked at originally what they were like, they probably changed. Ken Berry would probably say that when he started doing videos, he probably feels a bit differently about some of the first ones he ever did. Well, that's brilliant. I like that. I like people evolving and trying to learn more, really.
Yeah, we're meant to evolve and change through our experiences and what we learn along the way, right?
Yeah.
And then one thing that you are, very knowledgeable in is, helping people with, like you said, the lower back pain, and doing exercises that help with that. Can you share a little bit about some of the exercises that you work with people on?
Yeah, I mean, lower back pain is, the figures are, I think it's something like 90% of people will experience lower back pain at some point in their life. Doesn't mean it ruins their life, but it can be quite troublesome, and for some people it does ruin their life. And obviously that can be tied up with posture, how you see it. I mean, I do all my meetings standing. I know that's tough for people to adapt to, but there are some simple fixes. I mean, one of the things is walking. Walking is really good. I'm not talking about walking to go and gain some muscle and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, so you got arms like a bag of walnuts. But walking is a really good exercise for, just your mental well-being, and it's good functionality. But if you've got lower back pain, one of the things I try to get people to do is do a little bit of walking backwards. Obviously, as long as it's safe, it make sure the terrain's good. You're not going to trip over a dog or something. You could do 3 or 4 minutes of walking backwards every day. You will find that your lower back pain will lessen in about 75% of the cases. So even if you've had disc degeneration or fusing or anything like that, the biomechanics of walking backwards seem to really help improve the situation. Doesn't mean it'll go completely for everybody, but it will lessen the pain. That's one of the things I've learned. And also with exercise, a lot of people approach it as in the more is better, and actually a lot of people overtrain or they overdo it because they think they've got to be in the gym for 90 minutes. And I've certainly found that isn't the case. Just to give people a bit of experience in, in understanding why I feel like this so strongly about this is I was in my 20s and shown an x-ray and told I'd be in a wheelchair by the time I'm 50 because of my lower back.
Oh, wow.
So I was shown, a convincing image in a hospital setting. I just had a spinal tap done to check other things. And, it's pretty serious injury. I was taken off a squash court and I was in absolute pain, not as bad as childbirth, but you know what I mean? It was a lot of pain. It was proper pain. So I was really interested in that area. And obviously I'm 58 now and I haven't ended up in a wheelchair and I don't have back pain, but I was told I was going to have that for the rest of my life and I'll be on pain medication and all this sort of stuff. So I see people on a day-to-day basis come in, they're on 4, one particular one sticks out in my memory, 4 tramadols a day, had to give up their job. We're working in law enforcement and, on the streets for the police force. And within 3 months, he was off the tramadol and could have gone back to work. I mean, she had to take the sick pay package and all this sort of stuff. So she changed the way she worked. And that's common. That's really common. You can really change this around. So I tend to get people to tell me what their goal is for exercise and then work the exercise around what the goal is. And if it's fat loss, I don't even take them on for exercise. I actually say that's all about nutrition. Oh. And again, this is why I'm not living in a millionaire's palatial mansion, because I I stick to my principles. And if they're not prepared to change their nutrition, it's not going to work. It might work short term. Calorie restriction and exercise will work in the short term, but it's not a good long-term fix. Certainly not for health and getting like food freedom. So you're not worried about food all the time. So I do a very short session for most people. 20 minutes is the most if they're doing resistance training. So if people want to be, muscular, but not, I'm not talking the tone, for want of a better word. They just want to look a little bit better in a swimming costume. Resistance training tends to be the thing that will improve your bone mass as well. Let me just stop that from zinging, whatever's zinging.
Oh, yeah.
And short, hard, and intensive is what I do. So it's a short workout. It's very hard. You work to fatigue, and then you're out. So you get in the gym and then you get out, or you work from home. I work out from home. I just use resistance bands. I use nothing else now. And I do 4 exercises one day and 4 the next day. So I do like a push exercise session. That's, so like a bench press is pushing, and then the next day it'd be a pulling sort of session. It's like a row, those sort of things. Really simple. You don't have to have a post-workout shake or a pre-workout shake, because people that recommend then tend to sell post-workout shakes or pre-workout shakes. You don't need to do that. I mean, the human body is designed to be responsive straight away. If a tiger ran through that door, I would not stop to stretch my quads and say, hang on, I've just got to have a shake. I'm primed to be athletic, and we all are. We're all designed to use our muscles in a way to help us in a fight or flight situation. And that's what exercise tends to do. It's a stressful situation for the body. You have to train out to a capacity that makes you at least out of breath, but you really need to go sort of to your maximal limit to get any central nervous system response. So that means you're doing a bicep curl. If you're doing it with a pen, your central nervous system is not going to say, wow, there's a lot of stress on this bicep, we need to make it bigger. That's the real basic principle. So you need to go to a level where your central nervous system is saying, this idiot is lifting this very heavy weight, we've got to make the muscles a bit bigger. So that's that. Completely different mindset. If someone wants to run a long distance, completely different exercising. If they come in and want to do a marathon, the best training for running is running. If you want to do a really good 5K time, then you train at your maximum capacity of 5,000 meters. That's what you do. If you want to do a 10K, you train at a 10K. So I sort of tend to take a sort of basic common sense approach to it, really, rather than think you have to get into the nuances. And I mean, I have one person I trained that was the Olympic athlete and did the javelin in the Olympics, and that's completely different because it's so specific, and you're doing a periodic sort of plan to build up to an event. But for most people, it's a very simple way to look at things. If you want to run, teach you how to run, do lots of running. If you want to be strong, have muscles, good bone density, then probably resistance training is the best thing to look at, really.
Yeah. I agree. And yeah, like what ways can somebody who, let's say they've already addressed the nutrition, and so they've already lost a bit of fat, they've had some fat loss from just changing their nutrition, nothing else. So, but then they want to get a little tone, what ways can they just start slowly to achieve that?
They want to get a little, what did you say? A little?
Oh, sorry, tone, like a little
toned.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. This is where the resistance training comes in. So all muscles have, they have a tone to them right now. That's why you're not flopping all over the place. So muscles are always toned, and then they can contract, and then you can, extend them as well. And that is what will make them more responsive. Is lifting weights. Basically, you can use body weight, but it's still weight. So what you're actually doing is you're competing against gravity. Whenever you're doing any sort of strength training, if you've got a weight, I haven't got a weight to hand here, but if you've got a weight in your hand, like when you do the bicep curl, you're stopping that weight from just falling under the influence of gravity, which is why you can do a push-up, which is your whole body weight against the force of gravity, because it wants you on the floor and then you push against the gravity. So it's sorry to be very vague, but it's really simple, Rosa. It's very simple. If you want to look toned, it's probably best to move some weights around and to do it at least 3 times a week and not go mad over it. And if a beginner will notice a difference after 6 weeks of just doing, like I say, 4 to 8 basic exercises 3 times a week, 15, 20 minutes. I've got my workout down to about 12, 13 minutes, really. That I'm very effective at it. But if you were doing that, if you're doing 3 times a week, 20 minutes, but really working out hard, got to make a good effort. Whatever you're doing, it will work. And these sort of videos where it says, I did push-ups. I did 100 push-ups a day, and this was what happened after 30 days. Or I did 30 days of squats. This is what happened. It isn't the exercise itself per se. It's the fact that the person's got this habit of doing something. So you could do those sort of things. You could do a squat challenge and your lower body will respond brilliantly. You could do a push-up challenge and your upper body will respond brilliantly. There you are, simple as that. So you could say, right, I'm going to squat and do push-ups. That will get you going. That's really simple, really, really simple. Most people want it to be a little bit more interesting than that. But, you can do these basic exercises that are pretty much free. You can do air squats, so that's a body weight squat, and you can do a push-up. You don't need any equipment, and you need a space as big as you.
Yeah.
So you don't need anything flash. You don't have to go to the gym, and then you'll get some results. But most people get addicted. Once they start seeing a difference, oh wow, I really like this. I want to do 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 all the kit and all this sort of stuff. So, and I get that. I was there. I did that. I used to love going to the gym, and if I would say one thing about gyms is the mental health, having a social group, having like nodding acquaintances or people sort of giving you a thumbs up when you've just done something, and yeah, that's really good. Well done. You can talk to other people. That's quite good. But, in the end, what motivation do you need? Just looking in the mirror and seeing the body composition changing. You don't need to then change your diet. You don't have to do anything to the nutrition. You keep eating, making sure you're eating when you're hungry, stopping when you're full. You'll be fine. Make sure you have enough protein if you're trying to gain some muscle. It's really, it's literally not rocket science.
Yeah, I agree. I've had squat challenges and push-up challenges and just to kind of get people moving, I think is important.
I think we
need to move.
Yeah, you need to move with a purpose. I think I would add to that, because if you walk, for instance, that's not really pushing you physiologically. You will get improvements from walking, but you won't see like the shape in your muscles. You won't get slightly bigger muscles or more tone in your muscles. Walking is a fantastic thing, but it's not high intensity. It's what we tend to call incidental exercise. Good for biomechanics, good for mental health, all that sort of stuff. It doesn't fatigue you over time. So, people that walk a lot are fit, but they won't have that sort of body composition change that you're looking for, really.
Yeah, I mean, I've been walking a lot over the last couple of years because I was overtraining. I was training to be a roller girl, roller derby. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the roller skating. And that's intense. 3 hours each for a practice, and then I was weight training. And then all of a sudden, what happened in my SI joint was inflamed, and then my whole right side, the sciatic, it was very tight. And so when I would walk, I would have all these muscle contractions that were very painful. So it was very painful, to sit, to stand, to walk, all these things. So how I was my own personal trainer, physical trainer, I guess. I just walked. I'd walk. I couldn't train for a while. And then I actually found around that time, I found just eating more meat, eating a carnivore diet helped to recover too, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You don't need to try. I mean, that is an interesting thing you just said there, because a lot of people do the weights and then they run. And that's what we call cross cancelling, because you are building up your muscle and then you're tearing down your muscles. So if you're doing endurance running, not sprinting, by the way, but most people don't do that. They do like a longer distance run. So if you think of a 100-meter sprint and what they look like, they're very bulky, ripped, very muscular. You think of a marathon runner who looks like they need to sit down and have a good meal, which is not, that's what they do. They're much thinner. And that's because your body, the physiological response to doing lots of long distance, your body will adapt. Talking about adaptation earlier, your body will adapt to make you a good runner. So it will make your muscles less bulky. It will make your bones lighter. It will make you look like a marathon runner. Because that's the perfect look for your body. That's the perfect composition. So you're in the gym, you're using the weights, you're bench pressing. I want to get these big muscles. And then you go out and run, and then you're saying to your body, I want to get smaller muscles and lighter bones. So you do this cross-cancelling thing. It's probably best to do a bit of one thing for a period of time, get the muscle you want. And if you really want to do the running, and I understand that, like I say, I've got medals over there for middle distance running, then get into the running. You can be a hobbyist and you can do both, but you'll probably never get the maximal benefit out of either way of training. You might feel great, and if it works for you, then I'm also one of those people that if it works for you and you like it, that's fine. If you want to be in the gym 3 hours and it works for you, that's fine too. I'm not prescriptive in any way. But you're a good example. You see, you loved it, but then you had the knock-on effect. Your chronic adaptation was injury.
Yeah.
Your body said to you, you're doing too much, and you're doing too much of different things. I can't adapt. And this is the thing. So like, take like a soccer player, they train to be a soccer player. That's it. But if they was also doing tennis and they were doing squash and they were doing long distance running, they would not be such a good soccer player, because they would be different adaptations would be happening. But also you might find they'd be injured a lot more because they're doing too many different things. So the body is not getting stronger in the right area, or it's getting weaker in a different area.
That makes more sense to me. Yes. Yeah. Because because I was also a runner too. I had to stop that because I was having joint pain and other issues. So I think I just have some underlying, type of issues. And then also I wasn't fueling myself properly with enough protein like I am now,
Yes.
And so all that stuff kind of makes it, a difference, strengthening the bones and the muscles in the right areas. So that makes more sense to me now.
Good. That's good. It's nice to talk some sense.
Yes.
But you don't know, and that's the thing. And I think a lot of people, when they join the steak and butter gang, they're quite surprised that I'm very candid about you don't have to exercise to lose the fat. You don't have to, right? Exercise is good for many things. Maintaining your functionality is the key thing, right? It makes your muscles, your joints, your bones, your mental health really good. It does do that. But it isn't a fat loss tool, because you could do all this exercise and eat utter garbage and you would not be healthy. And you certainly would have a terrible body composition. And I always say this, if I had two people come up and one said, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to be the best exercise person ever you've ever had, but I'm going to eat rubbish. I'm going to eat all the things I want to eat. And the other one said, I'm not going to exercise, but I'm going to be so on point with my nutrition. 6 months later, the person that didn't exercise would look healthier, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, and my exercise has gone down a lot. I used to be somebody who exercised every day. I was very adamant about doing all these different exercises every day. Weight training became one of my favorites. But I think that as things happen with our bodies, we need to adapt, right?
Yeah, and recovery is the big thing. Recovery is really important.
Yeah, and then our life, and so I've gotten really busy with life, and I'll throw in a weight training exercise like once a week, I do a lot of walking. I'm very
Mhm.
active. I'm always on my feet, it seems. But so I'm not sedentary. I'm not, I'm not lazy.
Mhm.
But just finding ways to work out smarter, I
Yes.
think, is very
Yeah, and
important.
that's the thing. It's not the hours you put in; it's what you put in the hours. Because I've been in gyms and I've seen people come in and spend an hour in the gym and think, "Wow, you could have done that in 10 minutes if you hadn't been on your phone and talking to your mate and 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 basically sitting around or looking at people." Is it
Yeah.
get in and get it done? If you want to train, short, hard, and intensive. I don't like to swear, but we call them shit workouts for people to remember. Short, hard, intense. That's it. And you will get something from it. That's the thing. If you like the social side, then why not do your workout and then talk, or talk and then do your workout? Just get it done, and you will feel so much better, because it is more really about the response. This is a thing. So I mean, I have loads of different props, but if you've got your, let's say your knee, you've got your knee joint. Okay, so there's a knee. The knee, well, everywhere in the body has loads of nerves, but you've got nerves running down there, and they will tell your somatosensory cortex. Basically, they will tell your brain what your muscles are doing. Okay, so I'm going to I'll talk about the sedentary bit. So if you're working out and you're bending your knee a lot, that nerve is sending a signal to say, right, this person's doing this. And there are receptors in there, and there's like muscle spindles, and there's the Golgi tendon organs. All people can look these all up, and they are telling you about velocity and stress and shearing effects. And that is how the body reacts. Now, it needs time to then react. So it needs a maximum time to recover, which is why when athletes are out injured, they don't come straight back within 2 weeks and then go straight onto the field and compete again. They need time to build up and respond. So if you're training 3 hours a day, there's not much time, and you're overstressed. You're doing this all the time, and the body's like, wow, I can't keep up because this person is not letting me recover. And then you train the next day, there's no rebuilding time. So I often say, the way I work out, like I say, 15 minutes a day, 23 hours, 45 minutes, I'm not working out. That's when all the good stuff happens. It's a bit like sleep. People think, well, you're sleeping. We all know now sleep is important, but you could look at it and say, well, I'm doing nothing. I'm sedentary. Why is it so good? Well, it's so good because everything recovers, but also you need recovery during the day in the waking hours. So if you're doing 15 minutes 3 times a week, that means most days you're recovering and rebuilding and getting stronger. And the other days, it's still 23 hours, 45 minutes, where it's all about what happens then. And this is where the nutrition is as well. You can work out for an hour, but if you're 23 hours of food intake and how you live life is not on point, you're not going to get anywhere. And I do think like sleep is really underestimated when people talk about exercise. It's not very sexy and funky. It doesn't sell me many programs. I'm not one of these people that push exercise programs, because in the end, it is about everything. You can have the world's best designed exercise program, but if your nutrition's not there, if your sleep's not there, if your recovery's not in, you're gonna have a problem. I mean, even that guy actually I talked about earlier, who did so well to get into the top 25% of the world as a marathon runner in a year, is amazing. From really being overweight and very, very unfit. I had to tell him to have rest, because he got so into it, and that's great and got the results, really good. But I kept saying, you don't plan in any rest days. And I had to change his online calendar from rest to programmed recovery day, so you could see that it's just a mindset thing, because people think what you just said, I'm being sedentary today, I'm not doing anything, that's really bad of me. But no, you're recovering, and you need to recover. And then when you go into the gym the next time, you're going in with your maximal abilities. You're fully recovered, you're fully stoked with the nutrition, you've got all the things that you need to have a really good workout. You don't need carbs. Your body constantly makes carbohydrate. The liver is producing it constantly. your glycogen stores, are always there. I don't touch carbs. I never have a problem. So you don't have to fall down that, to exercise, you got to have carbohydrates. Such a load of rubbish, really, because our body is amazing at making what we need from non-carbohydrate, substrate. So you don't need to eat a particular thing before you work out or after. Just do your workout, eat your protein, eat your fats, hydrate. Don't overhydrate. That's another thing people do. They drink way too much water, so their urine is clear. They're flushing out all their electrolytes. They're urinating in the middle of the night, so they don't have good sleep. Make sure that urine is a waste product. It shouldn't be clear. It should be straw colored, lightly straw colored. It shouldn't be dark. If it's dark, you're not drinking enough, and if it's clear, you're drinking too much water. So that's quite a big one actually in the carnivore space, because it's one of those things where people start to drink a lot more water, which is good. It's certainly better than sodas and artificial sweeteners and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. But you can drink too much, and people still believe the 8 glasses of water myth and all that. There's, ribeye is 70% water. There's enough water in your food actually for most people to hydrate you adequately. But it's difficult to tell people that, because again, it's one of those mainstream mantras. I drink loads and loads of water, and then. I mean, the big one definitely for me is people urinating in the middle of the night. And I'm saying, well, that's ruining your sleep. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be drinking just enough to thirst, so it's quenched, just enough so your urine's not clear, it's just straw colored. And then use your urine as your regulator. If your thirst is a bit off, if you're not sure when you should be drinking, if you urinate and it's clear, you drunk a bit too much. So tomorrow, don't drink so much. See how you get. Yeah. And modulate it that way.
Yeah, I followed your guys' advice, in the group, because you were talking a lot about that in the group. And I was drinking a lot of water. I was taking electrolytes, and I stopped the electrolytes. For me, I found I didn't really need them. I was just more addicted to, they had the flavor in them, and the, had a little bit of artificial sweetener in those, and I've noticed a big change. I'm not waking up in the middle of the night. I'm not I was thirsty all the time.
Yes, and that's one of the weird things. It's counterintuitive. When you're drinking too much, you can be thirsty all the time because you're urinating, and you're urinating out your electrolytes as well. So you get this, vicious circle of like, wow, I need to drink more. I need electrolytes. Yeah. And what you're actually doing is
I felt like I was in a circle, and these electrolytes are not cheap, right? They're expensive. No. And then I noticed that, I had just switched from mostly carnivore. I was carnivore-ish, I guess you would call me, to just strict carnivore. And then I was thirsty at first in the adaptation. Mm-hmm. And then my thirst started to subside, and then, I got out of that vicious cycle with the
good
with the electrolytes, I guess. Yeah, just listening to your body is important. Like, yes. you don't need all these supplements and electrolytes, all the water.
I mean, everything has its place, and if you have an electrolyte imbalance and you've cut back on the water and you still feel like you need it, I don't know if you've got constipation, diarrhea, leg cramps or whatever, they have a place as a sort of temporary bridge. But it's something that you're, like you just said, this whole theme of this is all about adaptation. Your body adapts. It's amazingly adaptive. Animals get on with it. If I've seen dogs with 3 legs running around, they adapt.
Yeah.
We are adaptive animals. That's why we're successful as a species. We can adapt to extreme temperatures, famines, we can feast, we can overcome illnesses. We have a brilliant immune system if we have the right levels of vitamin D and being out in the sun and all that. We can recover from things if we have good sleep. So, we're an adaptive species. And I think, those electrolytes are in the food. Mm-hmm. Maybe not as plentiful as they used to be when the soil was better, but they're still there. Our body regulates that, and drinking an abundance of water is just ridiculous, really.
Yeah, it's not necessary.
It's not necessary.
Well, I really appreciate your time today, Coach Stephen.
Mhm.
And I know that you we gotta cut it off eventually here.
Yeah, I have a session coming up actually. Yeah.
Yes, yes. But I really appreciate all the work that you're doing in the community and all the information that you share. It's very much needed because there's a lot of confusion.
There is a lot of confusion. Yeah.
And so where can people reach out to you, find your information, work with you if they want to? I know that um, you do have a workout program that you offer as well too.
Oh, yeah, I do have. Yeah, I do have a workout program. The ukcarnivore.com is the website. I'll send you some links, Rosa, so you can put it in the bottom there.
Oh yes,
I'm on Instagram a little bit. I do stories on there, not much. I'm not particularly a fan of social media. I do Facebook and Twitter, but that not really something I'm that interested in. I don't like the platforms really. So the website, but the main one is the Steak and Butter Girl. Looking at the 30-day challenges they run, you can hook up with me there. I'm quite happy for people to email me. So that's, I'll send you the link, but I'll say it as well. zerocarbcoach@gmail.com is the email. And I'm open to questions and people, wanted to go a bit further. You can book sessions with me. I do half hour or 60 minutes. Quite happy to go through bloods if people send me bloods and book a session just to explain what the things are, why it might be high or why it might be low, and trying to put it in context. Certainly, looking at glucose and insulin and A1C and all the main ones are pretty easy to go through, but I can go through the nuanced one as well from the phlebotomy side of things. Obviously not a doctor. I don't diagnose, don't prescribe anything or de-prescribe anything. I just try and give people the information to make a decision for them to go do a bit of research or know exactly what's happening to their body and then just take it from there, really.
Perfect.
I do a workout program. Yeah, but the answer is yes, I do an online working out program, but you can email me to ask about that as well. So
yes, and I will be sure to put all the links down below, so you can reach out to Stephen here. And I thank you so much for your time today, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, and I will see you in the community meeting soon.
Yes, you will.
Yes.